Okay, NFL Week 4 is over. As you see, the NHL starts tonight. I got my Canucks hat on, but we're here to talk about the NFL. What did we learn in Week 4? Well, San Francisco's not out of it yet. I know some people are kind of discrediting this because it was St. Louis, but it was a very impressive win. And it might help that Frank Gore got going. For St. Louis, that run game is awful. Something needs to be done at the end of this season to really improve that, or they're not going anywhere. In Seattle, good teams find ways to win. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, they didn't look that good, but good teams find ways to win. In the first half, I had some friends that were like, oh no, Seahawks aren't looking good. They're not trying. They're pretty awful right now. And I stayed pretty calm. I know that good teams figure it out. Pete Carroll's a good coach. They got a good team. They might have some games like this against tough teams, but they'll find a way. Houston, on the other hand, Schaub, I think, proved he's not ready to step up to be elite like the Texans want to be. He's not a great quarterback, and to win in this day and age, you need a great quarterback. For Baltimore, another quarterback who they think is elite, but is not. Joe Flacco throwing 5 interceptions, how can he be worth the money you paid him if he throws 5 interceptions? He's way too inconsistent, and Baltimore's really going to struggle because of it. For Buffalo, they continue to put themselves in games. This is a team that consistently stays in the game and occasionally gets the win at the end. They're a dangerous team to play. I think they're going to be really good in the next couple of years because you watch them now, and when you continue to stay in games, you're going to get wins like this. For Chicago, Jay Cutler reverted back to his old self, and they can't have that. I think Trestman will get him back on track next week, but that can't happen. Detroit, obviously they need Reggie Bush. That guy, he creates their offense. He is dynamic enough where even though their run game isn't strong, he gives them a weapon out of the backfield that people have to watch out for. And that is something that Detroit will use this year to get into the playoffs. Gives them a new dynamic this year that they haven't had in years past. For Pittsburgh, big trouble in Pittsburgh. Big trouble in Pittsburgh. This is a team that's 0-4 now. That hasn't been that way since 1968. This franchise won't put up with it. I could see Mike Tomlin being fired at the end of the year. This is a team that needs a roster overhaul. They're aging. They're the oldest defense in the league. They need a roster overhaul and really start over, or they're going to be stuck in this mediocrity, bad team for several years. Minnesota, on the other hand, Matt Castle has to stay in there as the starting quarterback. He looked a lot better than Ponder. He's able to give a somewhat of a deep threat. He's a little bit more accurate. He really put this team in a position to win the game, and that's what Minnesota needs because they have Adrian Peterson, they have that defense. They're a good enough team to win games, and Ponder wasn't doing it. Castle's got to stay. In Arizona, that defense, really, really solid. The offense has its problems, especially on the O-line, but that defense is solid, and it's going to win some games for them like it did in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, Greg Schiano's got to go. I'm sorry, you are not a good coach. You have torn apart your quarterback, put your team in disarray, and you can't win that close game at the end. That's your job to get that done as the coach. I give the coach any close games, he should be able to do something to get a win, and he didn't do that. So I think Schiano's got to go in Tampa Bay. Cincinnati, that was an awful loss for Cincinnati. This is a very competitive league. I see about 9 teams competing for 6 spots in the AFC, and you got to win the AFC North to get into the playoffs this year. That's your goal. When you lose to the Browns and put the Browns back in first place and drop yourselves back with the Ravens and the Browns, you're in trouble. You want to take the next step. You call yourself an elite team. Show it. You can't lose games that you're supposed to win. I don't care if it's on the road. Cleveland, on the other hand, they're not giving up. People thought they were throwing the season when they traded Trent Richardson. Rob Tunzinski, he's got this team believing. Norv Turner, creative genius. Cleveland's going to be good in the next few years. And this is just the start. For Indianapolis, that's a team when they win when they should. Unlike Cincinnati, they played Jacksonville. Yes, everyone's beaten Jacksonville this year, but they got it done in a very impressive fashion, better than the Seahawks did. They play the Seahawks next week. That'll be a good game. I think that offense is balanced, but Trent Richardson has to get going. He's still only averaged 3 yards a carry. He has to figure out ways to pick up yardage. Jacksonville, on the other hand, why Blaine Gabbert? Why go back to him? Chad Henne seemed to be improving. Why not keep Chad Henne in there? Now you have kind of a quarterback decision to make on your hands, and when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. For the Giants, this is the end of an era. This is the end of the Eli Manning, Tom Coughlin era. They are a bad team. They are not going to be a good team in the foreseeable future. They need to rebuild, and that starts with bye-bye Eli Manning and bye-bye Tom Coughlin. For Kansas City, that is an electric team. Dexter McCluster getting it done. Andy Reid has really made that offense explosive. The Chiefs are a very good team and somewhat surprising to be 4-0 and playing as well as they are right now. The Jets, Geno obviously was not ready to start in the NFL this year, but he's there, and I think Rex Ryan is doing a good job in trusting his quarterback and continuing to play him so he gets that experience, because he's going to need it for the next few years. I think he has the chance to be a good quarterback. He's not right now. The Tennessee Titans, I thought this was going to be a playoff team before Jake Locker got hurt. This was a team that was shredding a very solid Jets defense, just tearing them apart with Jake Locker, who looked great this year, and he's out for a few weeks. That's really going to hurt the Titans. The Philadelphia Eagles, their secondary is awful. Chip Kelly is not doing anything to help the defense. On the offensive side of the ball, they're okay, but you cannot win games when your team lets up 52 points. And I know it was against Peyton Manning, but you have not looked good all year, Chip Kelly. Do something about that defense. Denver, efficiency is what I'm so impressed with in Denver. They can put up points and put them up in a hurry. They have those big play ability. Peyton Manning's having his best year yet. That team might be one of the best teams ever. I really think they have a chance of going 16-0. I think they have a chance of going undefeated. I think that team is amazing. Washington, you're not out of the clear yet. I know you got a win, but it was kind of an ugly win, and it was against Oakland. You can't fall behind like you did against Oakland, against other teams, but it is a step in the right direction. For Oakland, Matt Flynn, getting the start was not that bad. I'm impressed with Matt Flynn. Oakland team has actually really got some potential there, especially with Pryor. I think I'm hoping he comes back from concussion. But that team really has some potential there, and it's not as bad as we all thought to start the year. In Dallas, you got to worry about that defense, because Dallas is by far the best team in the NFC East, but they're 2-2. And that defense really has to start improving and winning games for them, keeping them close, because Tony Romo's having a good year. DeMarco Murray's going to start going. That defense has to step up. On the Chargers end, I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year, but Rivers has really turned it around. He's not turning over the ball as much. He seems a little bit calmer in the pocket, not as angry. I think he's done a good job this year, but I just don't think that they're a playoff team. I think there's too many good teams in their division, and I think there's too many good teams in the AFC for them to make an impact. New England, finally getting a receiver to step up. Kenbrell Tompkins, he's looking like Brady's go-to guy, and Brady needs that guy. Keep it up. For Atlanta, you have to question if they're going to make the playoffs. This is a very tough league this year, I think, on both conferences, and I think it's going to be tough for them to get in there. They're 1-3 now. That's not the way they wanted to start. That game against New England was a must-win, and they didn't. And so they're in a big hole right now, and I don't know if they'll be able to crawl out of it. For Miami, I think they proved on Monday night that they're not an elite team. They couldn't hang with the Saints, and the Saints are very good. But I think Miami, they're just a step below. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they're just a knock below the elite teams in this league. On New Orleans side, the Saints look so much better with Sean Payton. The offense flows better. The defense is better with Rob Ryan, but you got to give credit to Sean Payton. This guy wasn't here last year. Coming back, making this team the same way they were back 2010, 2011, 2009. This is a very, very good football club. That's it for my NFL Week 4 observations and what we learned. Check back next week, and we'll discuss Week 5.